Back on the Charles River, Bill Spalding with you as we continue our coverage of Radcliffe versus Michigan State and Boston College with the third varsity race. Well, Boston College will also race its fourth varsity boat as well, so two Eagle boats to go along with the Radcliffe third varsity and the Michigan State third varsity. Lineup for Radcliffe here at third varsity, the sophomore Kat O'Donnell is the coxswain. The stroke is a sophomore Elizabeth Ashford, sophomore Liz Kemp. And then there's freshman Charlotte Medway in seat 6, senior Maeve Hofstadt in seat 5, Rachel Milam, a senior in seat 4, sophomore Emma Orcutt in seat 3, sophomore Maria Spillane in seat 2, junior Jill Sikorka is in the bow for Radcliffe. For Michigan State, their third varsity lineup looks just like this. It's all freshmen for Michigan State. They still call it their novice 8. The coxswain is Catrice Mall. The stroke is Jordan Becker. In seat 7, Johanna Ukeli. Seat 6, Becca Harmon. Seat 5 is Amy Podokis. Seat 4, Monica Wimbush. In seat 3, Madison Glatz. Seat 2 is Madison Sturm. And the bow is Mia Inman. And for Boston College, both a 3V and a 4V. The 3V for Boston College will be on the top of your picture, the 4V on the bottom of your picture. BC's 3V. The coxswain is Lauren Michelson. The stroke is Gretchen Ray. In seat 7, Morgan Rand. Seat 6, Grace Brzezowski. Seat 5 is Megan Linden. In seat 4, it's Catherine Popolo. Seat 3, Madeline Carlton. Seat 2, Laura Mazzata. And the bow is Victoria Mulkern. The lineup for the fourth varsity 8 for Boston College looks like this. The coxswain, Alexis Matos. The stroke is India Jennings. Caitlin Drohan is in seat 7. In seat 6, it's Dagny Balak. In seat 5, Pharrell Granith. Lydia Antrim sits in seat 4. Jessica Zettelmoyer sits in seat 3. Elizabeth McCullough in seat 2. And Carlson Given is the bow seat for Boston College's fourth varsity. And there at the top, the 3V is at the bottom of your picture for BC. Radcliffe on top of Michigan State, sandwiched in between the two Boston College boats. Radcliffe took the first race of the day, the V4B, now looking to make it 2 for 2. And they're off in the third varsity race. In our V4B race, Radcliffe jumped out to a big lead right off the first few strokes and ended up winning by close to a 15-second margin. Here it's much closer out of the opening chute. Radcliffe, Michigan State, and the Boston College third varsity sitting in first, second, and third. Boston College's fourth varsity has already fallen off the pace just a bit up at the top of your picture. Radcliffe has taken a couple of seats from Michigan State and Boston College already. Look at Radcliffe hot out of the chute again, up ahead by 4 seats. Boy, powerful strokes so far from Radcliffe. Trying to get in that good rhythm, led by the stroke seat, Elizabeth Ashford, seat 7, sophomore Liz Kemp. Good mix of younger rowers and experienced veterans in the 3V boat for Radcliffe. You have 4 sophomores, but also 2 seniors in the group for Radcliffe here in the third varsity boat. Radcliffe has already taken the full-length lead, all 8 seats away from Michigan State, which is a boat full of freshmen. Michigan State treats its third varsity as its novice 8, so they keep it with younger, newer rowers in their third varsity. They're in second. Boston College has fallen back to third, and then Boston College's fourth varsity boat is sitting back in fourth place. Now for the second straight race, Radcliffe has exploded out of the chute, and before we've hit the 500-meter mark, they've started to create open water. Just the message you're looking to send early, trying to demoralize your opponents a bit with a hot start. BC has kept contact in its third varsity boat with Michigan State. Spartans have held this 6-seat lead for at least 100 meters without being able to separate. Michigan State trying to walk back the gap to Radcliffe a bit as well. They've maintained a full-length margin. All these teams have kind of sat back into their regular rhythm now. Through the opening 2 minutes, we've passed about 600 meters. Radcliffe has a full-length lead over Michigan State. Now Michigan State has all 8 seats ahead of Boston College's 3V. Boston College's 4B is open water back behind the rest of the 3. Still valuable experience to get that 4V out there for Boston College in a day where will also race V4A, 2V, and 1V boats moving forward. Unofficial clock in 2 minutes and 40 seconds as Radcliffe continues to shoot ahead of the pack, separating a bit more from Michigan State with open water. Michigan State has gained open water on Boston College's third varsity, which has open water on Boston College's fourth varsity group. This is shaping up in a similar way to the first race of the day, the V4B, where it was Radcliffe 1, Michigan State 2, BC 3, all separated by open water. Heading past MIT's campus now as we approach the bridge halfway through this race. Unofficial 1,000 meters split, about 3 minutes and 21 seconds for Radcliffe's third varsity group. Rowing in unison here, ahead of Michigan State in second, and Boston College in third and fourth with the 3V and the 4V. Again, quiet, strong technique from this Radcliffe group. Not picking up any type of splashover as they lead Michigan State by a length and a bit more, maybe a length and a half at this point. Michigan State has another length and a half back to Boston College, and then BC's fourth varsity sits behind. Just a slight breeze today, perfect conditions for racing. It's always like you're playing roulette in April. You never know what the weather's going to be like on the Charles in a mid-April race, but yesterday maybe we busted out. Today we hit the jackpot. Temperature around 50 degrees, very little breeze as Radcliffe off to a 1-0 start and leading big here in the third varsity race. Zooming past the MIT boathouse. Once they pass the 500, oftentimes you take 5-10 strokes to collect yourself, and then you move into that finishing sprint sequence. 2-length lead for Radcliffe. A couple more lengths for Michigan State back to Boston College's 3V, and then Boston College's fourth varsity sits behind. 500 meters to go for Radcliffe with 5:15 on the clock. Time this Radcliffe group: Coxon, Kat O'Donnell, Elizabeth Ashford the stroke, Liz Kemp the seat 7, seat 6 is Charlotte Medway, seat 5 Maeve Hofstadt, seat 4 Rachel Milam, Emma Orcutt in seat 3, Maria Spillane in seat 2, Jill Sekurka in seat number 1. And they look very solid here, 2 lengths and growing ahead of Michigan State. It's a good performance from this Michigan State boat, which yesterday had a similar result. They lost to Northeastern at third varsity, but beat both UMass and Boston University. Radcliffe laying into the lumber for a finishing sprint here, keeping that margin ahead of Michigan State. And Boston College in third at the third varsity level. The fourth varsity Boston College boat is back and forth. Our next race of the day will be the V4A, the varsity fours for Radcliffe, Michigan State, and Boston College. It should be a competitive race. Michigan State is a very good varsity 4A boat. Maybe 20 strokes left for Radcliffe here as they've gone wire to wire over Michigan State and Boston College for the second consecutive race. Clock ticking toward the 7-minute mark for Radcliffe. And they come toward the flag at third varsity. Radcliffe takes it in 7:04 unofficially to win third varsity. Here comes Michigan State in an unofficial time of 7:12, an 8-second margin for Radcliffe in 3V. Boston College's third varsity finishing ahead of its fourth varsity. The third varsity finishes in 7:26. And the fourth varsity comes home in 7:31. That's not a bad run for Boston College's fourth varsity, only 5 seconds behind its third varsity group. But once again, it's Radcliffe coming out on top ahead of Michigan State and Boston College. Our next race will be the varsity fours, and that's coming up next on the Ivy League Digital Network.